What do you make of, the Volkanovski-Topuria fight coming up soon? Again, it is your division. A lot of people think Volkanovski's coming back, too quickly. What do you think?
When did he get knocked out by Makachev? Do you remember when that was? Like,
Yeah, it was October 21st,
oof,
literally 2 months ago.
and they're fighting in January. That's pretty soon, honestly. And he got knocked out in the head with a head kick.
Yeah.
That could play a difference. Honestly, it takes like, I think I heard like 6 months or something at least for your brain to fully heal from something like that. Look, I'm fighting a number 43, 45 guys, something like that. I'm number like 119 or something like that. So if
Well, that's a
I
pretty big
beat,
leap, no?
yeah, it is. So I smash him, I smash like two other guys, I will be close. And then by next year, if I just keep winning, I should be close to that, you know?
So obviously, man, it looks like you're in Vegas right now, right? I was gonna ask you that, looked like you had an awesome event going on. I saw on your Instagram recently, couldn't help but check that out. What was it? The Las Vegas Fight Shop, man. What was that all about?
Yeah, so it was the represent guys. They got their own clothing brand there.
Okay.
And it was at the Las Vegas Fight Shop. They let me know. They asked me if I wanted to come in and join them. Like I'm still relative unknown because I haven't fought in the UFC, but it was
Sure.
cool to get that experience and be there with like Bobby Green and Nate showed up. I know Chris and Nate, and Diego Lopez. So yeah, it was a good experience. It's the first time I ever done something like that. So it was nice keeping my feet wet.
I know you're from the Bay, right? So is that something you flew out to go visit, check that out, or were you in the area?
Oh, I was in the area just to train at Extreme Couture with Jake Shields is like one of my coaches growing up. So I just went down there to get some sparring in and training with him and visit the PI. It was a good week to be in Vegas for that because of the big fight event. So you just see a lot of guys that big names and stuff like that there.
Yeah.
So it was really cool.
Were you able to check out those fights this past weekend, man? What do you think?
Oh, dude, that was the last two. I mean, Kobe let us all down. He was, he for that big mouth man. He needed a fight way better than that, and got even out wrestled by a striker. It was lackluster. But other than that, all the other fights were great. That knockout by Josh Emmett. Oh my God, bro, that was
Brutal.
crazy. Yeah, that was dope.
So
It
obviously,
makes me excited for my UFC debut, man. I'm not gonna lie.
what's interesting is I was going to ask you, right? When you're looking at stuff like this, right? Obviously, the debuts, it's going to be in the Apex, still going to be very exciting. But when you watch things like this, does it sort of keep in the back of your mind, man, that could be me one day on the big stage, big pay-per-view card? Because there's a different buzz to those cards, right? Are you sort of envisioning you fighting on those big cards down the line?
Dude, I'm more and so excited about all the good things that can happen. Yeah, so I'm like really excited. The way I fight in my style, I'm a fun fighter to watch. I bring the
Yeah.
heat. I knock people out. So I just know that me being in there, that's what's gonna happen, and I'm gonna put on a show every time. We're not gonna have a snooze fest. 'Cause I just bring it. And I just love to fight.
Let's talk about that fight, man. Obviously, it's coming up in February, right? That's kind of why I wanted to have you on the show. Curious, as a fighter who's already in camp during the holidays, let me ask, when do you start camp? Has it gone underway? Because I know we're about a couple months away now, right?
Yeah, I've already started camp a while ago. I'm always training. I almost train like I always have a camp. That's my life. I train like twice a day, all the time. You kind of have to be like that. The only thing with a camp is I'd say I condition a little bit more and I spar a little bit harder.
So you're one of
Um,
those guys that's always ready year round.
Pretty much, I always train. You always got to be, and it's kind of being part of Scrap Pack and all these guys. They kind of instilled that in us. I mean, coming around with Jake and Nate and Gil, you you got to always be ready because Gil will be like, "Oh, you need to go spar this guy," or this guy wants you to get some work with him and stuff like that. Because people have me come train with them, or fly me out to help them give them some rounds. And everyone knows me for giving, like you're gonna get some work when you have me come down.
Interesting you say that with the coaches, the guys you prepare for. That's almost the perfect mentality to have sort of in this era of the UFC, right? Because you even got Dana coming on saying, always stay ready, right? Big opportunities. Feels like most of them come on these short notice things, right? Somebody pulls out or something happens, right? So, I mean, that's touche, man. Staying ready is
Right.
important.
Sure.
As far as the fight, right? Obviously, when you, and it's something I wanted to get back into as far as in the holidays, right? Because I didn't know when you started camp specifically. So, since you did start camp, let me ask you, you got Christmas, New Year's, you got all the food, the drinks, everything. You know, that's not something. Are you going to be partaking in that this year, or is that something you got to hold off on?
It's something I hold off on, and something that I'm not it's not that big of a deal to me, at all anyways. I've always grew up as an athlete and someone takes care of their bodies. So even when my friends would be drinking and doing all this, I'd still be in the party, I'd still be about I'd be sober. So the wrestling season in high school, you'd train through the holidays and I'm one of those people. The moment I sign, it just gets clicked in and I'm not deviating from that. I'm not partying. I'm not even having one drink, one beer. It just instilled in me. So it's really not that big of a deal. The only issue is having enough training partners around to train with, and people are not going holiday vacation and this and that. So that's another reason why I flew down to Vegas to make sure I get some serious training leading up to this fight and going through the holidays.
That's good. So you're not somebody that's like counting down the days to the cheat day and all that. I think that's great that you're able to, that's not something that you struggle with. Because I know a lot of other fighters, they definitely struggle with a lot of the eating portions and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, I that's not a big deal, and also I'm not my family used to have these giant extravagant holiday parties, but I'm gonna be honest, ever since my grandma died, my family kind of like they don't get together like that anymore.
Gotcha.
So it would have been harder before because if you see my family party, there'd be like 10 different pies, a freaking whole roasted pig, a freaking turkey, like all kinds of animals on there. So but now it's just gonna be really small, so it's a little bit easier because of that.
Yeah, 100%. And, as far as the UFC, right? This is a big stage, big opportunity. You were on the Contender Series, but this is a whole different beast.
Hmm.
You were in the UFC, I mean, Bellator, LFA, a couple other promotions, right? When you're preparing for these fights, I mean, it's got to feel different in the lead up to this one, right? Just because it is a UFC fight. Does it feel different, or are you just preparing the same?
The Contender, I'm gonna be honest, like Contender felt a little bit more nerve-wracking only because of this reason. You can win and still not get accepted in the Contender. I'm gonna fight in the Apex again, this fight, and I fought in the Contender in the Apex. I mean, still it's still like, wakes me up. Oh, it's my pro debut with the UFC. I mean, it's my UFC debut, but honestly, I look at every fight like it's a fight. Every fight is super important to me. So I don't make it like, that much bigger than it actually is because it's just a fight in the end of the day. And in the end of the day, um, it's I just fought in Contender, which is a UFC promotion, or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
So there's
That's
really
pretty
no.
much
I
the
feel like I
UFC
already.
debut. There's always like this weird middle ground, but
Yeah,
that's
exactly. I felt like I already made my UFC debut. So with this guy, he just has a lot of experience, So
yes.
and he's favored to beat me. He should be. I don't know if he is or not, but he should be favored to beat me. And that is what's motivating me right now because I want to show the whole world like I don't give a hell how many fights this guy had, 50 fights or whatever, and if he's favored to beat me, I want to shock the world like holy shit, dude. Like this
Are you
guy
a
just
chip
took
on shoulder guy?
a little bit, a
Because I
little
could
bit.
see
I
that
feel
this
like I
kind
always
of,
got
not that it
something.
sparked you, but I could definitely see that it's something that's definitely motivated you a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I have I always feel like if you don't have much something to prove, you just don't have that extra edge. I just always have something to prove, and especially with this guy, and especially with the way I've been coming up through this game, I feel like it's thrown into the deep end. I've always had a hard fight, and I feel like other people have gotten way easier route, and I've had like a way harder fight in my first fight. So yeah, it is motivating, and yeah, I want to really like make a great performance so everyone knows who the hell I am at the end of the day.
You brought it up, right? As far as this, Shaylin matchup, what really just sort of smacks you in the face when you're looking at it on paper is the fight experience, right? Like one guy has 8 pro fights, the other guy has 50. Like, I interview a lot of fighters in preparation for, talking about fights that are upcoming. And it's rare that you see sort of this discrepancy as far as the experience in terms of the fight numbers and everything. Did that stand out to you right when you took the fight? Is that something that just you were like, oh yeah, right away that stands out?
Yeah, that definitely stands out. Yeah, it's a lot of fights. You got to respect that. Anyone who's been in there, you're gonna have this composure. They're gonna have a lot of experience, maybe ways to win, stuff like that. The good part is also a lot of video, and
Yes.
I seen not a lot of progression in him. But also, dude, I've sparred and fought people. Everyone I fought have way more experience than me. Maybe not in the street though. I don't know. I've had a lot of fights in the street, but
Stories in
yeah,
the Bay.
yeah, exactly. Man, you don't even know. Every weight class, every race, bro.
There you
And
go.
yeah, so with these fights, it just in the end of the day, we're in the same weight class, and in the end of the day, like he just got knocked out his last fight. He's been finished. He's lost to a guy who's 8-1, so the guy had one more fight more than me.
Yeah,
His
that's a good point.
debut fight in UFC. And look, let's be honest here. Like other countries, you can fight 20, 30 of those guys um in that country or wherever the hell they're from. Because let's just face it, they don't have the teams like they do over here. We have like Alpha Male, aka we got all kinds of great teams. You got Russians, you got every race, over here, and
Absolutely.
it's not as developed over there. This guy's fought like 20 times in 1 year against a bunch of not that great guys. But I mean, regardless, that does help you. That definitely does help you in terms of being conditioned and trained and stuff like that. It does, but that many miles puts miles on that many fights put miles on you also. So um and and with me it's like I like a fight where I'm a little bit what's the word I want to use, like oh shit, I got to be on my toes with this one.
Cautious.
The
Yep.
better the guy is, the more I step up. So my best performance is against a guy like that also. So I'm excited for this matchup.
That's good. So you also feel like when you look at it on paper, you could be like, wow, 50 fights. But like, when you actually look in and dive deep into it and analyze it, it's a little overblown, right? When you look at the actual way it played out. I'm curious too, because you brought it up what I was gonna ask you. You said that when you face a guy like that, the good thing is there's a lot of tape out there, right? As far as the tape, is that something you're big on? Do you game plan for your opponents? Do you let your coaches do that? Do you not do it at all? Like, where are you on that?
I definitely watch a few of his fights, especially before I say yes. I send it to a few of my coaches and my friends who are fighters who have really good mind analytical breakdown on what um, they're seeing, and then I get a consensus of what everyone's seeing, and everyone else has a little detail about this person. So there's a general game plan. I'm gonna be honest. The way I approach every fight is I systematically break them down. I exploit their weakness. I impose my strength. I neutralize their strength. You know, so when I hear that, I just write it down what I gotta do. There's a certain strategy, then I know what to look for, where he's strong at, and then I execute my game plan. And there's things that happen in a fight that can be um unpredictable. Of course, it's an MMA fight. But yeah, I'm super aware and ready for that.
You said you're ready all year round, right? That maybe strikes me as a guy that prepares regardless of opponent the same always. I mean, I could easily be wrong, right? But where are you on that? Do you prepare specifically for the opponent? Do you structure the camp around the opponent? Or, where are you on that?
Yeah, I definitely do. I get training partners who are similar body type. I mainly work with people with similar body type, similar strengths. And then I also sparred all kinds of different people because you never know, this guy could call out, get injured, and someone else step in. So I definitely work towards his strengths. Again, when I see what my coaches say his strengths are and stuff, we definitely work around that.
Yeah.
And so like my last fight, he did a few wrestling things there, unconventional, but I was ready for that. And when the fight happened, I was ready for it. And with this guy, not only I see what his strengths are, we're getting ready for that, but it's also important to have people who have the same similar body type and height and physical attributes as my opponent, um, because that's a whole nother thing to get ready for physically as well as mentally,
You feel like you've already
tactically.
been Yeah, sure. Do you feel like you've already been able to hone in on a lot of the stuff that he does well, and have you already been starting to sort of, applying it into the training and preparation of those things you've already been working on? Because you haven't been in camp for
Absolutely.
how long you been in camp?
Like
Well, you said
two
you train
weeks,
all
two,
year
3.
round, right? But I guess officially.
Yeah, I've been in camp for like 2, 3 weeks, something like that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, but yeah, I mean, I've fought some people similar, not as good because they're not as have this record that this guy has, fought in the UFC before, but I've fought people with similar body types, and they have a similar way to go about it, you know. And there's a certain thing you do with people who are strong. This guy I'm fighting is stocky. He has comes from a wrestling background. He can throw strong shots, powerful shots, but it comes few and far between. And there's just he's like a bull, I just need to be a matador virtually at this fight, you know.
Yeah. We talked about records as well a bunch of times. I'm curious because I'm just sitting here, a guy in his fucking computer chair here interviewing you guys. I'm not a fighter, but as far as I'm curious to get in the head of a fighter. You're someone who's unbeaten, right? You got the unbeaten record. Obviously, it
Hmm.
sounds cooler when somebody says, "Oh, and the undefeated." This guy, like, is that something you look at and like highly like regard as your record? I got to keep it unpolished, got to keep it clean, or do you just look ahead of, I win fights, the record's going to stay clean regardless? Like, do you look at the record honestly and say like, oh, it feels cool to be an undefeated fighter?
I mean, yeah, it's cool, but I'm not like putting out more pressure on myself. I'm like, dude, every fight's important to me, regardless of where it is or what it is or who it's with. It's always the most important thing in my life.
Right.
And my record, hey, I'm glad I'm undefeated, but it's not like I don't lose sleep over it. Like, oh, this guy's gonna take it out. I'm like, dude, a fight is a fight, man. I'm ready to, execute it. And for me, it's like it's like when you fight and you don't want to put too much other nonsense in your head. Let's put it that way. You just make it's simple. We're doing an MMA fight, and I just stick to my game plan, and I stick to what I got to do to win, and it's been coming out with victory. So that I'm just gonna stick to that game plan.
It's definitely been working for you, bro. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? You're in the
Right.
UFC featherweight division, right? Just again, from a fan point of view, curious to get, sort of dive back into the brain of a fighter on this one. What do you make of, the Volkanovski-Topuria fight coming up soon? Again, it is your division. A lot of people think Volkanovski's coming back, too quickly. What do you think?
When did he get knocked out by Makachev? Do you remember when that was? Like
I don't know particular. I could check though.
that seems not that long ago. I swear that was like 2 months ago or something.
It
2, 3
seems
months
like it
ago.
was. Let's see. It was yeah, it was October 21st.
Oof.
Literally 2 months ago.
And they're fighting in January. That's pretty soon, honestly. And he got knocked out in the head with a head kick.
Yeah.
That could play a difference, honestly. It takes like I think I heard like 6 months or something at least for your brain to fully heal from something like that. So that could play a factor. Topuria hits hard. He's a great boxer. He's composed. How's Volkanovski when he has a full training camp though? He is very dangerous, man, and he's very hard to beat. And I don't think Ilya Topuria ever fought someone shorter than him. So that's another thing that's gonna be tricky for. Oh no, he fought Josh Emmett. He did good against Josh Emmett. But I feel like Volkanovski is way more dynamic and more fluid MMA and striking skills. But Ilya Taporia is really good boxing. He's very good composure. Seems like his time. So just based on the Islam Makhachev knocking out Volkanovski,
Mhm.
it heightens Ilya Taporia's chance definitely.
Also, my thinking too, I mean, and again, what do I know? But my thinking sort of is, Volkanovski is a guy who it's not like he's facing a guy who's already beaten or somebody, again, a guy who's beaten or somebody who he's familiar with, somebody that's been in the division for a while, had some losses. You know, taking a fight on short notice against a guy like Topuria, who it's fairly unknown at the top of the division. Like we don't know how he's going to do against Max and Volk, right? But this is a guy where it seems like you want to be at your best for, right? Like it seems like one of the more, one of the tougher guys Volk's faced in a while. Again, I mean, we don't know how tough he is at the top of the division yet because we haven't quite seen it, but it feels like this isn't a fight that you want to rush back from, specifically a fight like this.
He is 14-0 for a reason, and he's been through a tear through the UFC, knocking all these guys out, destroyed Josh Emmett, who just knocked out Bryce Mitchell cold. That's not a guy you want to be taking lightly, but I'll be honest with you. I want Topuria to win because I want me and Topuria down the line to fight for that belt. I think that would be a sick fight.
It's funny because you keep asking me things and it kind of leads into what I was going to ask you already. So let me
Oh,
ask you,
sorry.
no, it's perfect. Let me ask you this now. It actually works even better that way. Let me ask you this now. Where do you see yourself in like 2 or 3 years? Because it kind of ties into what I was going to ask you there. Like as far as the UFC featherweight division from today in about 2, 3 years, where do you see yourself?
Look, I'm fighting a number 43, 45 guys, something like that. I'm number like 119 or something like that. So if
Well, that's a
I
pretty big
beat,
leap, no?
yeah, it is. So I smash him, I smash like 2 other guys, I will be close. And then by next year, if I just keep winning, I should be close to that, you know? I should be, I could end next year top 20, but again, I don't want to look past that. I always focus on just the next step. So that's
Sure.
all I'm focusing on. I want to answer this question, but I'm only focused on this next guy and this next step. I don't look past him. He is my obstacle. He is my hardest challenge in my career, in my life right now. So, but I think in 2, 3 years, I think in 2, 3 years, I could be fighting for the belt, maybe end 2025 be end of 2025 be in contention, hopefully. Assuming I win all these fights and everything goes the way I want it to be, because I'm pretty much taking like seems like an express path right now, which I've always kind of been. So, I feel like I'm hoping 2025, 2026, me and Tapuria can run it at the Chase Center here in San Francisco. That would be epic.
That'd be great, huh? Well, listen,
Mhm.
it seems like the best fighters don't look ahead, and that's looks like that's what you're doing, right? Based on your comments. So, good on you for that. But, there's nothing wrong with having big goals and dreams at the same time, right? So
Thank
let me
you.
ask you one last question, man, and we do appreciate the time. Anytime I see fighters doing their thing outside the cage, always feel the need to bring it up. You got your own website, your own channel. When did you get started on that? What was the motivation behind that?
Um, just my coaches, and they have a few guys that can make the website and stuff like that. So
Okay.
they just help me out with that. And um I don't have my own channel. I just have my own website.
Do you have like a
Um
you have like a page though on Instagram dedicated to like it's like a fight page for you? I guess that's what I meant. Is that accurate or no?
oh, do I?
Or is that something
Oh,
that you're
I
just
don't,
part of, perhaps? There's
yeah, I
so
think
much
I'm just
stuff on the
part of
internet
it.
now that
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm just probably part of it. I just have my Instagram. I am not good with any of that stuff. Like, I am not good with keeping up with anything besides fighting.
Yeah.
I'm just focused only on fighting. Anything with electronics and media, I'm just not the best at. That's just not what I do. I just like to stick focus on fighting, but I know it's part of the game. So a lot of my friends just do it for me. So if there's things there or things that are getting posted and stuff like that, or my own Instagram or websites, I get a lot of help from my friends who really want to see me do shine and do well. So they want to be part of the process and the journey. So they help me out with in all kinds of ways. So I'm appreciative of them and my coaches for that.
Absolutely, man. And listen, I mean, as far as the channel thing, there's too many goddamn podcasts out there anyway. So the last thing we need is another fighter starting a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, man, thanks for joining us, Hyder. You're back in action. Was it February 10th, right?
Yes, sir. February 10th,
Awesome.
Cashman. It should be the second fight on the card. So stay tuned, my man. You're gonna see fireworks.
There you go. Technically, UFC debut again. Hope to see fireworks there. And Hyder, thanks for joining us, bro. Appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me, Marcos. Have a great day, brother.